Assalamu alaikum. Recently, Indonesia's Council of Religious Leaders, the Majlis Ulama Council, deemed cryptocurrency as both a currency and a tradable asset as haram, that is, prohibited in Islam. Naturally, as someone who reached a different conclusion, I wanted to understand what the reasoning for the Council's decision was. It is entirely possible that I missed something, and I wanted to figure out if I indeed had. So I went to the website of the Majlis Ulama Council to find the justifications they gave. I will respond to their arguments in this video. I should mention here that the site of the Majlis doesn't have an English version, or at least I couldn't find one. So I used Google Translate to convert it to English, and consequently, what I relay to you is not going to be an exact quote from the Majlis. It's going to be the English translation of what they said as per Google. Now, if you're new here, my name is Rakan Kayali. I am the founder of Practical Islamic Finance, where we try to help people globally build wealth in a halal way. Become part of our growing community by going on practicalislamicfinance.com to sign up to our free newsletter, join our Discord and social media. Links to do all of that is in the description of this video. So, since the Ulama Council issued their ruling on cryptocurrency, we should be clear on our understanding of what the word cryptocurrency actually means. I found a definition for cryptocurrency on Investopedia that I think is pretty comprehensive. A cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. Many cryptocurrencies are decentralized networks based on blockchain technology, a distributed ledger enforced by a network of computers. A defining feature of cryptocurrencies is that they are generally not issued by any central authority, rendering them theoretically immune to government interference or manipulation. So a lot of that language may be foreign to many listeners. So basically what they're saying is that there are two primary elements to cryptocurrency. The first is cryptography, which is basically coded communication designed to prevent fraud. The second is decentralized networks, often referred to as blockchains, which is intended to increase immunity to manipulation since there is no central authority that can be corrupted. Now let's look at the reasons cited by Indonesia's Ulama Council to see if they can help us make sense of their opinion. The first thing they say in their opinion is that the use of cryptocurrency as a legal currency is haram because it contains gharar, darar, and is contrary to Law Number 7 of 2011 and Bank of Indonesia Regulation Number 17 of 2015. Now, let's take this statement piece by piece. First off, as it relates to the use of something as a legal currency, generally speaking here, there are no restrictions whatsoever that I could find in Islam on what you are and aren't allowed to use. A currency is something that you use as a medium of exchange. If you decide to use camels as currency, that's your prerogative. If you decide to use seashells, ketchup packets, not sure how it would work, but if that floats your boat, have at it. They aren't the most efficient currencies out there. You could probably find currencies that do the job better than the ones I mentioned. But if the buyer and seller agree to use them, that's really all that matters. I don't get where this impetus for trying to control what people decide and agree amongst themselves to use as currency is coming from. Certainly not anything I could find in the Quran or authenticated hadith. As for gharar, which is an Arabic word that is associated with uncertainty and has been described as the sale of what is not yet present, it is true that the Prophet, peace be upon him, prohibited sales that involve gharar. One example of this would be buying a calf in its mother's womb. In this case, the calf is not yet present, so you don't know what you're going to receive. Will the calf be born dead? Will the mother give birth to triplets? Perhaps a diseased baby is born. How does the use of cryptocurrency as a legal currency relate to gharar? When you transact in cryptocurrency, do you not know what you are buying and how many of it you will receive? Of course you do. You know exactly how many coins you will either part with or receive, and what type of coin you will be either paying or receiving. Where is the gharar here? Where I think many people get gharar wrong is that they think it relates to the benefit you get out of something. That is, if you purchase something without knowing the ultimate benefit you're going to get out of it, then this is haram. This is of course not true. The benefit of virtually everything purchased is not known beforehand. You can buy a tire and drive over a nail pulling out of the shop. You can buy a share of a company that makes overpriced bicycles with an iPad strapped on the front and see its price fall 70% in 1 year. You can buy a delicious ice cream on a hot summer day and drop the ice cream before you get a chance to taste it. The benefit you are going to be able to derive from virtually everything that you purchase is unknown at the time of purchase. So yes, while it is true that in some instances the benefit of a cryptocurrency may be unknown when the buyer buys it, it is certainly not unique in this regard. The type and amount of currency you purchase is known. And as it relates to the issue of al-gharar, I think that's really all that matters. The second thing they mention is darar, which is an Arabic word that simply means harm. Not sure what particular harm the Majlis is referring to as it relates to cryptocurrencies. Suffice it to say that yes, I can accept that some cryptocurrencies have perhaps caused some amount of harm to some people. However, this is not a reason to deem the entire technology haram to use. The internet has caused a lot of darar or harm. Does that mean the internet is haram? The existence of some darar is not enough to deem something haram. You must weigh the darar against the manfa'a, the harm against the benefit, to come out with a proper conclusion. If the benefit from cryptocurrencies far outweighs their harm, then it is quite wrong to say cryptocurrencies are haram because they cause any amount of harm. And I see no evidence in the Majlis's opinion that the cost-benefit analysis that needed to be made was ever made. This is perhaps most strongly evidenced by the fact that they deemed cryptocurrencies haram as currency, even though there are more than 10,000 different cryptocurrencies out there, with each different cryptocurrency having a different cost-benefit analysis associated with it. Finally, the opinion argues that using cryptocurrency as a currency is contrary to Law Number 7 of 2011 and Bank of Indonesia Regulation Number 17 of 2015. Well, Law Number 7 of 2011, which essentially bans the use of cryptocurrencies, is not a source of legislation in Islam. This law may be a reason for people in Indonesia to deem it illegal, but it's not a reason for Muslims outside of Indonesia to deem it haram, which brings me to a much larger issue. If you want to promote compliance with a national law, that's perfectly fine. Don't drag Islam into it. Don't then turn around and claim your law, by virtue of it being a law in your country, is from Islam. This is a very serious sin in my opinion. قال الله تعالى أم لهم شركاء شرعوا لهم من الدين ما لم يأذن به الله, or have they partners who have ordained for them a religion to which Allah has not consented? The opinion moves on to say that cryptocurrencies as digital assets are not legally traded for all the same reasons prohibiting their use as a currency, but add qimar or gambling, and the fact that cryptocurrencies don't have physical form, have value, are known for certain amounts, are property rights, and can be submitted to the buyer. Again here, we'll consider the statement point by point. Now, as it relates to gambling, I suppose the accusation originates from the fact that cryptocurrencies are very volatile and therefore risky to invest in. This may be something counterintuitive to some, but as I've explained on this channel before, gambling, more specifically al-maisir, which is prohibited in Islam, has precious little to do with risk. An activity can have very little risk and be considered a form of haram gambling or al-maisir, like for example betting that Burkina Faso will not win the next Olympics gold medal in ice hockey. On the other hand, an activity can have a very high level of risk and not be considered a maser, like opening a restaurant. Gambling has to do with zero-sum games involving money. Now, typically one party receives money, the winner, based on the outcome of the game, and the other party pays the money. When you purchase a volatile asset, this is not a zero-sum game, since not just money, but an asset is exchanging hands. The asset in the purchaser's hands is valued more than the price they paid for it, and the opposite is true for the seller, and that's why a sale happens. At the time of the transaction, both sides are parting with what they value less in exchange for what they value more. This is trade. Whether or not the buyer or seller were correct in their assessment of relative value at the time of trade has nothing to do with the permissibility of the exchange itself or its association with gambling. As for an asset having to have physical form for trade in it to be permissible, I really no longer consider this a serious point. Perhaps the most valuable thing in an economy today, aside from human capital, is the software that is used by economic actors. None of this software has physical form. Now, is the Majlis suggesting that buying and selling software is haram? Similarly, arguing that cryptocurrencies don't have value is the equivalent of saying software doesn't have value. After all, that's really what cryptocurrencies essentially are. All modern economies today are built on software, and you can see and hear me right now because of software. As for are known for certain amounts, well, I log into my crypto portfolio every day and I can see exactly how much of each crypto I own and how much they are worth. So not sure what the Majlis is specifically referring to here. As for our property rights and can be submitted to the buyer, again not sure specifically what is being referred to, because with cryptocurrencies, for the first time in human history, people can store wealth in a way that the state cannot seize. No other property right is this robust. Saying that cryptocurrencies can't be submitted to the buyer is also false. They can be submitted to the buyer, who can then store them on or offline. They conclude their opinion by saying that in order for cryptocurrency to qualify as a sila, or an item of trade, it has to have an underlying and has to have clear benefits that are legally valid to be traded. Who determines what has clear benefit and what doesn't? Certainly, I think some cryptocurrencies are valueless, and I would go so far as to say contribute a net negative value, such as SafeMoon, in my assessment. But I think others are quite constructive and positive. To say that all cryptocurrencies don't have benefit or real-world utility, I think is an unfounded overgeneralization. And in conclusion, I find the recent opinion of the National Ulama Council of Indonesia prohibiting cryptocurrencies as an asset to be traded and as a currency to be used, I find this opinion to be lacking in merit and rigor. And I encourage the Majlis to review its position in a timely manner. May Allah forgive me if I have erred in my opinion. I encourage you to consult multiple sources before reaching a conclusion and to follow what you find to have the most merit. Leave a like and subscribe if you appreciated my effort, and if you're interested in following my crypto portfolio, you can do so by using the link in the description of this video. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.